If you want SEO results that stand the test of time without having to worry about getting penalized, this is for you. It worked 10 years ago. If you're still doing it, it would still be working today. And I have no doubt it'll work going forward. I'm going to explain the process and show some examples from my own business and my own SEO work here. So if you're ready for it, let's jump into it. First, let's talk about all of the SEO gimmicks and stuff that are out there. And there are a lot of them out there. And I've never seen anything that has people kind of chasing a mystical pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? And you hear about somebody that has a lot of success with it, but by and large, most people are failing with it. And that's what I'm saying, and failing with it is chasing these gimmicks, right? Backlinks are one of them. Yes, backlinks are good, but you need to earn your backlinks naturally. Buying links like this stuff, yes, it might spike you up, in the interim, but it will ultimately come back to bite you in the ass, right? And there's a bunch of other stuff out there. There's citations, there's Web 2.0s, there's PBNs, private blog networks. There's people that, run scripts that click on your listing or your ranking in the search results. There's all kinds of stuff out there. Don't worry about that. Like literally just chop that stuff off of your radar and follow what I'm going to explain here, okay? So get over the gimmicks and all the baloney, all right? The other thing, too, that a lot of people waste a lot of time on is focusing on the technical side of things. I think you'd be very surprised if you got to look inside of some of the top websites that are getting tons and tons of traffic out there, how little they really focus on the technical side of things, right? And by that, I'm talking about like meta titles and descriptions. I've actually stopped using them on all of my websites. Google, goes through the content and will override your meta title and description. So keep that in mind. Google's kind of moving to a era of saying, hey, we'll go in and fetch this from the content for you. You don't even need to do that. And quite frankly, I think that Google's algorithm is way beyond you needing to tell them what your page and your content is about. Right? Google's algorithm, can translate languages. It can infer metaphors, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Very deep learning stuff. They don't need you to put keywords in the meta title and the meta description for them to understand what your website is about, right? So Google is beyond that. So now when it comes to actually making everything work, the first place that I start is by finding high volume topics. And notice I'm saying topics here. That's very important because I don't focus on keywords at all. I like topics. And I'm not sure if I said this or not, but sometimes when you're kind of doing SEO, and I've found this through my practice over the last 10 years, I'm kind of a little bit older than I look at 31. Some of you guys probably did the math. I always get that when I say I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, what did you start when you were, freaking 10 years old? Because I look like I'm hardly Adobe over 20, but that's another topic. Anyways, I'm in my 30s. I've been doing this since I was like 20 years old. So over 10 years. One of the things that I've seen is that when you try to focus on a keyword, you end up ranking for something totally different. And I'll show you an example of this here, particularly kind of the topic as it applies. If we come into this site right here, which is FL Screens, kind of a niche home service website, one of the things that we rank for and do very well for is screen enclosure cost estimator. And if you Google that, I think you'll see we're number 1 or 2, maybe 3, 1, 2, we're 3 right there. But I didn't identify this simply by coming in here and saying, I want to create something that ranks for screen enclosure cost estimator. Or some of these others, like screen lanai cost. I think that's going to be the same piece. Yeah, it's the same piece, right? I didn't come in and say, okay, I want to rank for this keyword. No, I said, I'm going to create a piece of content, on this topic. And the keyword, screen enclosure cost estimator, is nowhere on this page at all. Right? This is just a content piece right here on my website. So, forget about keywords, look for topics. So, like, let's just say that your topic is dog food, I don't know, or organic dog food. Maybe that's a good topic. I say that because I just fed my dog this morning. All right, so I use SEMRush, pop it in here, right? And now when I come in here, here are the topics. Not topics, but keywords, right? And they're questions. I usually, typically go for questions. So how to make organic dog food at home. So maybe you could do a piece on 5 awesome organic dog food recipes you can make at home. What is organic dog food? What is organic dog food and the pros and cons of it? The best organic dry dog foods that you can buy at the supermarket, etc. I think you see where I'm going. Is organic dog food better? Organic dog food versus non-organic dog food, right? So I'm not looking for keywords again. I got to stress that. I throw the keyword stuff straight out the window. Like literally straight out the window. I am simply publishing good content on high volume topics, and I'm looking for some volume. Don't be alarmed here when you see the volume is low like this. You just kind of want to avoid the zeros, right? If you got a bunch of zeros or you find something that's good in zeros, maybe try to wrap that up into a higher volume topic. And that's just on questions, right? If we switch this thing back to all, I think if we put it in for organic dog food, that organic dog food is a pretty high volume topic itself here, 4,400. So basically just avoid the stuff where there's absolutely nothing. And some of these kind of overlap, like how to make my own all organic dog food is kind of how to make organic dog food at home. All right, so identify higher volume topics and then publish good content on that. So let me show you some examples of that, right? We can come back here to my screen enclosure website. Right here, we've just got examples and kind of discussion, and I don't really think this is a good piece of content, so I probably shouldn't have shown you guys this, but it does well and it serves the market. We do provide valuable insight in this, which is why it's done well. And that said, it was published quite some time ago. I don't know when it was published, but yeah. This is one that I did here on the topic of SEO for contractors, right? So take a look at this piece right here. Right, we got a table of contents up top so the user could jump through to all the sections. And then it's basically just broken up into little chunks. So we got a video that, explains it. And then down below it, we've got kind of like some cliff notes or a summary. So we've got video, and you can see it heading, video, summary, right? What the user needs to know. That's how this piece is. So it's largely a video-based piece, but if you wanted to skim it and read it, the user could also do that. Brian Dean of Backlinko follows a very similar pattern with his. He'll have a table of contents up here, and mind you, his contents are a lot more elaborate than mine are. And somewhere in here you can see he's got a lot of video content, and he's also got the captions on them, and I think his videos play automatically, so these are loaded in the WordPress website, but he's doing this at a very high level. I'm doing it at a little bit lower level here, and ultimately SEO for contractors is a lot lower volume topic than content marketing, which is probably what he's trying to rank for here, right? But it all comes down to publishing a very high quality piece of content on it. You don't want to publish gibberish. You don't want to publish, a short 500 words. You want to go 1,000 words. You want to make it visual. And then you also need to format the tags properly on the page, right? So let me just show you a quick example of this in WordPress. I'm going to go add new here. Actually, I'm not sure if add new would have been the best way of doing this. We can also come in here because I'm using Thrive themes, and we should be able to see my typography, right? So here's the typography, right? You can see these heading tags. I do use these heading tags, and while I'm not kind of overly sticking keywords in them or sticking keywords in them at all, I will try to put in, some subtopics that kind of fall in line with the questions that I have here in SEMRush, right? So if we come back to my piece right here, we got realistic expectations about doing SEO as a contractor. SEO is about content, not keywords or searches. Again, that's kind of what I'm relaying here. What can Google tell about your site and content? So they're appropriately named headings, and I'll try to wrap them into the questions or topics that I find in SEMRush. And then, so follow this strategy. Typically on your page, the H1s will be the title, and then the H2s will be below. But you can have more than, one heading tag for these subcategories as long as they're in line. You should only have, in theory, one H1 tag on a page. I guess I'll kind of drop that in here. And on a WordPress website, that's typically your title. So here's my H1, right? And then all of these in my table of contents made by Thrive Themes are my H2s. And then you can see the subheadings down here. That's an H3, right? So, if we consider the title of my page being the H1, we've got a bunch of H2s. And then under the H2s, we've got the H3s. So you can put those on there. Make sure your content is formatted up in that. And it's kind of like doing indentured bullet points, all right? So publish good content, make sure it's formatted following those, but again, don't put a ton of time into on-page SEO and all the technical kind of gibber. I don't want to say technical gibberish, that makes it sound worthless, but don't worry about so much about the technical stuff. Publish good content on high volume topics for real people. And then finally, before we get into promoting it, finally, while we're on the topic of content here, make sure that Google can crawl it. And for doing that, you want to go to your Google Search Console. And I'm just going to put that in here. You can go to here, sign up for it, right? And then when you get all set up in here, you can add URLs manually. The other thing you can do is you can create a sitemap, and you can do this. I do this easily using Yoast. So if we come in here to Yoast, and then I believe go to search appearance. Actually, no, it's in general. General. If general loads, there's general. Or is that general? Oh, it's still in search appearance. That's general as a subheading of that. All right, so here we are. Features, and then we come down to XML sitemaps, right? You can copy that sitemap address. You can get that sitemap address using Yoast, and then you put this into your search console, and then that will help Google index your content faster so that it can be crawled. And one thing I like to do, just to confirm that everything is working right, is to do a site : and then type in your site URL. I'm going to type in mine. And boom, we can see all of my content here getting indexed. And I kind of need to go through this and clean this up a little bit. But yep, this is all my stuff. It's all getting indexed. You can even type in, the titles or a keyword and see what comes up and make sure it happens, right? So Fiverr, we can see all the content that I did on Fiverr, it's been indexed. You just want to make sure it's got indexed so Google can find it. Google knows it exists. Finally, what you want to do is promote it. Promote it. Yes, promote it. Do not try to build backlinks. Simply promote your content. Now, I've got an extensive blog post on here that I call the SIS method. And I've also got a video on the SIS method right here explaining the process. But basically, how we do this is we capture email addresses from our contents. We build our email list. And then we always want to be sure to promote it to the email list. When we publish new content, send out that post to our email list, get real eyes on it. And then we also can run Facebook ads right to it. And then subsequently, one of the things I explain here is how you can run Facebook ads and use that to funnel people into your group, into a Facebook group. And then you can share the content in your Facebook group as well. So for those of you guys out there kind of following along, you can, build your email list, promote it to your email list, promote it by Facebook ads, and also build a Facebook group and share it there. All right, so now we're promoting the content to real people. That's going to send real user signals back to Google, right? So Google has Google Analytics. They can get all the data on your website. And I think you would be naive to believe that Google's not looking at Google Analytics data or getting data on user behavior through some other means, like, for example, Chrome. They own the Chrome browser, or Gmail, things like that. They can see which links are being shared around in Gmail. That might be the newest SEO gimmick of 2021. Share your links by Gmail. I don't know. But it certainly sounds like it would be, right? So Google can interpret all of this actual behavior from real users, and it's easy for them to tell who's a real internet browser based on cookies. They can certainly do that and decipher that from fake robotic browsers, right? So send real people to your content. That's going to give Google the signals. And then if the content is good, which is basically step one of this, or step two after you find high volume topics, then they'll subsequently reward it and they'll show your content more in the search results. So guys, that's my ultimate time-tested SEO strategy. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. If you want more marketing insights, experiments, experiences from me, look for the No Bullshit Marketing Facebook group, guys. That's the one that I put together. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got a lot of value out of it. That's a wrap on it. I'm signing off.